I am putting a very simple question to you, sir. Why did you fail miserably? Were the people fools not to bring you to power? Thank you.
Well, we failed because people did not vote for us. In the eyes of the people. See, people vote on a number of issues. Indian elections, like US elections, are a collection of state elections. People in different states vote on a number of issues. We were in power for 10 years. We did a number of right things. We also did a number of wrong things. Ultimately, you are the judge. You put it in balance and say, all right, you've done some right things, you've done some wrong things, but we think you should take a break and we should give a chance to someone else. Now I accept it. I don't treat it as a mark of failure or...
Answer. You won't let me answer, Mr. Jagannathan.
Yes.
I asked in Parliament the question to the Finance Minister, please tell us now, how many loans given prior to 2004 have become NPAs under your asset quality review? How many loans given between 2004 and 2014 have become NPA? And how many loans given between 2004 and 2014, which were evergreened after 2014, have become NPA? Please break it up into three parts: the Vajpayee government, the Manmohan Singh government, and the Modi government, and tell me this 10 lakh crore NPA, please break it up into three parts. I'm still waiting for an answer. I'm still waiting for an honorary doctor today.
Yeah.
So, we have been estimating the unemployment problem, saying what the job losses have been, how bad is the labor participation rate fall been, and that's all very stressful, all that is very fine. The response that we get from the government is that how can all this be true when we have had sustained 7% or so growth rate? What is your response to this conundrum?
Presumably, you're going to also ask that to Piyush Goyal. That's easier to ask him.
My response, please do not take it as a light-hearted response. It's a serious response. Well, there are eminent economists here. Growth rate is a deduction, it's a calculation, it's an inference. It's not somewhere there as a fact. Growth rate is an inference or a deduction or a calculation by statisticians. Whereas investment is a fact. Credit growth or credit decline is a fact. Savings is a fact. Household liabilities is a fact. Decline in labor participation is more or less a fact, a statistical fact. These are facts, these are inference. This is an inference. What the government is saying is, I have drawn this inference, therefore your facts are wrong. My answer is, the facts are right, your inference is wrong.
So are you questioning the GDP growth numbers?
Of course I question it. It's a fake number. If all these facts are there, and if all these facts point in one direction, this number is a fake.
UPA 2. I did that deliberately. Yeah, you want to come to UPA 2?
I'll talk about UPA 2. I'm not
What went wrong in UPA 2?
Well, what went wrong in UPA 2 was Lehman Brothers. I had no control over Lehman Brothers. Everything went wrong after 2008 September. And that continued for nearly 3 years. And when we were trying to pull back, we had this famous taper tantrum, which pushed us back another 18 months. And if you add 3 years and 18 months, that's about 4.5 years of UPA 2.
Before I go to the next round, what has Mr. Modi got right? Surely he's got something right in the last 5 years. Inflation is low.
Yeah, what he's got right is low inflation. But I don't know if he had anything to do with oil prices. Well, all right, I'll credit him. He brought down oil prices, if that's what you want to hear. Constitution. Even without changing the Constitution, I think this government is a threat to our constitutional values. Our constitutional values are based on institutions. Every institution has been undermined today. They wanted to convert RBI into a board-managed company. 8 vacancies in the CIC were left unfilled until the Supreme Court stepped in and directed them to fill it. They did not have a chief statistician for several months. They did not have a chairman of the Securities Appellate Tribunal for several months. There are 440 vacancies in the high courts. There are vice chancellor's posts which are vacant. I've given all that in the book. The point is, you destroy CBI. Have you ever come across such a situation in any country? Number 1 in CBI files cases against number 2. Number 2 in CBI files cases against number 1. And the Delhi police and CRPF are mobilized at midnight to take over the CBI office. I mean, what kind of a... if it was not so tragic, we would all laugh, but it's not a laughing matter. It's tragic. It's tragic. Now, I think institution after institution has been undermined or taken over. And you know something? Profiling for appointments. Have you ever heard of it in a Congress government? We may have made some wrong appointments. We never profiled anybody. This is a government which profiles. Why was Justice K.M. Joseph not appointed for months? And why are judges being appointed today in 24 hours after the collegium recommendation? I have nothing against the judges who have been appointed in 24 hours. I think they are good men. But why was Justice K.M. Joseph not appointed for several months? Because he gave a judgment in the Uttarakhand case. I think there is a grave danger that constitution will be undermined directly and indirectly. That's one problem. The second is, everybody in India is living in fear. I was at a wedding reception yesterday. Several businessmen walked up to me and spoke to me. And all that they said is, we dare not open our mouth. You saw Ruchir Sharma's interview. He said, statism, the proof of statism is when businessmen don't speak against the government. On the same day when President Trump was sworn in, on the same day, January 20, 2017, there was another businessman who had called a conclave of over 200 businessmen on the same day and said, we resolve that Trump will be defeated after 4 years. On the day he was sworn in. Not one businessman is willing to speak up. CII, I think they've got pre-prepared statements. Whatever happens, that statement will come out. I mean, we are living in fear. Dalits are in fear. Muslims are in North India. Dalit communities with numerically small Dalit communities are migrating to villages where they are numerically larger. Not majority, but numerically larger, a critical number. Similarly, Muslim communities are migrating. Dalits are living in fear, Muslims are living in fear. Women, when we went around consulting for the manifesto, women said, number 1, when I had one in Bandra Bandstand, the number 1 demand of women was women's security. Secure women. Women, children. I mean, everybody's living in fear. Journalists, scholars, academics, writers, everyone is living in fear.
Thank you. My name is Sami Suleiman. I'm the ambassador of Kuwait in New Delhi. I really appreciate and commend your statement regarding the peaceful coexistence between different religion and different ethnicity in India. That's really characterizing India. And we in Kuwait, as well as GCC, we are very keen and big supportive of dialogue between different religions in order to establish a bridge towards mutual understanding. My comment on the wording jihadi terrorism. Actually, jihad, the word as a word, has many definitions and meaning in Islam. And also it has many categories. The first one is the soul jihad, which to prevent the soul to commit any crime or bad behavior toward the other. So I am really very a bit worried about combining the word jihadi with the word of terrorism. So I would rather prefer that we call it international terrorism. Terrorism has no religion, terrorism has no nationality, terrorism has no land. So I would rather really appreciate if we call it international terrorism. Thank you.
No, I have no difficulty in agreeing with you. In fact, Muslim scholar once wrote to me saying exactly what you are saying. And when I pointed to him the definition of jihad in the dictionary, and he said he is going to sue the dictionary for giving that meaning for jihad. I have no difficulty in agreeing with you. But what other phrase should I use? Arun started by using the phrase jihadi terrorism. I find Hafiz Saeed uses the word jihad in every speech that he makes. He has made 3 speeches in the last month, and every speech that he has made, he has used the word jihad. And he remains a free man in Pakistan despite the dossiers against him. I find Al-Qaeda leaders use the word jihad. I find LET leaders use the word jihad. We have voice transcripts of the attackers in Mumbai and their handlers using the word jihad. So, for the wrong reasons perhaps, and unfortunate reasons perhaps, if the terrorists use the word jihad, then those of us who are opposed to terrorism are forced to use the word jihad.